What did I want to be when I grew up? Oh man, that's a good one. Same thing as now. I saw Kiss live when I was 4 years old, man, and I was instantly hooked. I didn't know what it was I was seeing, I just heard music and blood and fire, and I just wanted to be a part of all that. And I never really left that. I had a mad love for wrestling, so I thought maybe at one point, I could be a wrestler,
Okay.
but that didn't work out too well. So.
Speaking of the Kiss thing, I saw somewhere that Gene Simmons scared you as a kid.
He did, man. You know what? In fact, it was when I saw Kiss with my mom when I was 4. My mom's friend Pam it was the like ran the Coliseum where they were playing in my
Okay.
hometown, and my mom went to the restroom. I like stayed on the side of the stage with Pam, and I was like crying for my mom. I was 4 years old, dude. And Gene and Kiss were walking up to go on stage, and he just like walked right in front of me and went, and he had like a guitar pick on his tongue. Um, or a bass
Yeah.
pick, should I say, and he just like took it, and I took it from him, which was kind of weird, right? Probably not good for someone to do, knowing now where Gene Simmons has been. But I
Yeah.
was just mesmerized, and I like grabbed it and I took it, and I remember just being in love with that excitement and that charisma of whatever was happening, and it just like I instantly fell in love, man, and I never really, like I said, looked back.
So the curse is blowing up everywhere. How is that making you feel right now?
Great, man. It just the whole project itself for Strange as Angels has really taken on a life that I didn't necessarily expect would happen. I mean, it started as just my son, at the time being 4 years old, getting me like reinvigorated to create my own music rather than just work on music for people. And to jump back in it, I was real nervous. I was real scared. I didn't think, who would care and why would they care and what do I have special to offer. Um, and to just see it, from one single to another, to just, get into the places that we have been amazing, and especially doing so well. The single before this, Never Broken End Curse, during COVID times, which was even crazier, because we weren't able to tour and we're a baby band. So for it to just happen is super cool.
So I see that you're going to be touring over the summer. How are you preparing for that?
Yeah, man. I mean, we've had some really cool festival offers that I'm like super excited to hopefully be able to take, and that they follow through, or that we're able to follow through and that they happen. Um, but as far as preparation, I'd say we're pretty lazy.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to it. I guess it's one of those things of like, let's see what it is that we're gonna do and prepare for that exactly. You know what I mean? It's like, let's really see like what's going on, if these shows are going to still be able to happen, because we had a couple false starts early on where we were like super excited that we might be playing some shows, and then all of a sudden it was just they weren't going to happen after all. You know what I mean? It was still kind of like, put the pause button, let's push this all back a few months. So I guess once we're really in it and we're really in the driver's seat, that's when we'll really prepare for it.
So did you have any vocal coaching at all, like growing up?
You know what? When I first started, man, I started with piano into like classical guitar. My parents were like, if you want to play electric guitar, you got to play classical. And it wasn't until I want to say I was like 14, man. I was a freshman in high school, and we were supposed to play this big backyard party, like our band. That was like the big thing, right? You play a backyard party, you're the
Yeah.
kings of the scene, right? And our singer bailed out on us the night before, and I was like, there is no way we are not going to play this show. Like, this is my chance to be cool, right, and show my chops. So I was
Yeah.
like, let's I just sang, man, and from that moment on, it came pretty naturally. And I would say it wasn't until I was in my 20s that I realized um, I had pitch and relative pitch and everything from just playing piano and guitar and stuff. But it wasn't until I started blowing my throat on the road that I realized I needed to actually get some coaching to really like build the muscle, maintain the muscle, keep the muscle up. And that was super fun, man. And I still, keep up with it now at least once every 6 weeks. trying to get even if it's online, just getting with, the people that I've worked with in the past to like give me a quick refresher, keep everything up. But I think you reach a certain point when you're singing all the time, one way or the other, you just kind of maintain the muscle.
Like, what do you like? Do you use honey, throat coat, or
Honestly, man,
ginger?
none of that stuff for me ever really worked. I mean, it would maybe like in a moment. Throat coat would be like, I always felt like it was more like at least it felt like I was being proactive. You know what I mean? You're on tour, you're
Okay.
like in the middle of nowhere, and you're like, I can't even like talk, dude. So you were doing something, but the reality of
Yeah.
it is learning from my vocal coaches was like sometimes the muscle was just burnt. So what we needed to do was like build the muscle even stronger, which is the point that I got to. Because yeah, it wouldn't work, man. We do the honey and the lemon and the ginger and the hot water and the don't eat dairy and like no chocolate and no cheese and no, take antacids just in case you don't have acid reflux while you sing. I mean, all that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, for my body, it was just the muscle just needed to be built, and I could power through anything, which is I'm super grateful for.
When you're
Yeah.
recording at home, do you use Reaper or Pro Tools?
Uh, you know what? Actually, I really like Logic,
Okay.
Cubase stuff. I mean, I'll deal with Pro Tools when I need to. But I'm kind of not like super Pro Tools like person. I'd rather be up in my Cubase Logic stuff more than anything else. Once you kind of get used to something that you've used forever, you just kind of stick with it.
So the music video for Wave,
Yeah.
how long did that take you guys to do?
You know what? That video took probably about a month for all kinds of reasons. One, it was our first time we were really coming out the gate. It was our first single with the band, and I wanted to do something really different. All my previous bands, everything had always been, black and dark, and we were the evil incarnate and scary. You know what I mean? The whole thing that
Yeah.
we were trying to do, and I was like, I want to do something completely different. And my son was probably 3 at the time too. We even caught him in the video at the end, which was super cool. Um, but through that process, it was like the director who I had worked with in my previous bands was like, "Hey, let's do something real different. Let's do something really conceptual." And I'm willing to take the time to do it, which was huge considering we didn't have like a really massive budget. So to do all the green screen, to do all the stuff, I mean, that was a lot of fun. And for me, I was like, how many times are we going to do a stock video of a band performing and kicking ass and look at us like being awesome? I was like, I really wanted to challenge myself, and I wanted to hide behind a lot of that, to be honest. I was like, I don't necessarily want to like play and sing. I would rather do something different just because I was so scared. I get so scared whenever I'm trying something new. I always get so incredibly nervous, and it's funny. But that also makes it really fun for me.
Well,
So,
speaking of, how do you deal with that?
um,
Like the anxiety,
yeah, it's
like
really,
I know everybody has it. So like,
me,
how do
I've
you fo
noticed
how do you focus?
I just focus by just really tackling it head on. You know what I mean? Like even if I'm like scared about it and crying about it, like, oh my God, like, dude, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I just love doing it. And I'll just get in front of it, which is the thing. Sometimes the best stuff for me is just really tackling it head on, even though it sucks really bad. I like just getting in front of it because I feel like if I can get at least face it, I have a chance to dominate it. And even if I'm gonna
Okay.
lose at it, at least went for it. So that's why I like trying a lot of the new stuff, which is all the things we've done with the Strangest Angels. Everything that we've done to this point has been completely out of my box for me. Like even if it sounds like a heavy rock band, right? Like for me,
Yeah.
how I got to that point, every song was somehow different, whether it was lyrical content, tunings of guitars, tempos, grooves, production, collaborators, just whatever it was like we went different as many times as we could, at least I did. So I like getting scared.
You ever think about doing just an entire acoustic CD or
You know,
record?
yeah, you know what? We did one, um, which was acoustic versions of our first EP, the
Yeah.
Mirror Mirror EP. But
I love that song, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much, man. Yeah, that was another big one, jumping out of the box, where it was like I had never sung that high, I'd never tried this key. I mean, all those different things. But to that of the acoustic stuff, I didn't necessarily. I'd love to do something acoustic of new acoustic songs, if that makes any sense. Like songs specifically written acoustically versus like, hey, these songs are doing really well. Let's do acoustic versions of them so we can keep like, pushing, the apple cart along, so to speak. I'd like to actually write an acoustic record that's just all acoustic tunes, and we're never done in any other capacity. I think that'd be super fun. So I was a big Alice in Chains fan. So I loved how like they would
Okay.
drop a record and then have an acoustic one and then drop another record and then have an
So,
acoustic. I always loved that.
so speaking of Alice in Chains, do you know that there's only two songs that he wrote before he passed away that was just released recently?
Really?
Yep.
Which one? Where?
I
What?
can I cannot think of the name of the songs right now, but I can message you later if I find it.
Dude,
There's two that's out.
that would be massive. I'd heard something about that. Dude, I'd love that because I was a huge Chains fan. Huge.
Well, speaking of that, well, I know that you're a huge fan of them, but who are your other idols that, what do you call it, got you where you are today?
Man, early on, definitely Guns N' Roses, without a doubt. I mean, when I heard them when I was like in the fifth grade, I just lost my 10-year-old mind, dude. It was like I wanted to be Slash and Axel in one. I was like, if I could be Slaxel, it would have been the greatest thing in the world. Um, and I still love them like to this day. Like Guns
So,
was always huge for me. I
well,
was
s-
what
speaking speaking of Guns N' Roses, when you get a chance, watch November Rain. There's something that you probably didn't realize when you've seen that video 100 times.
what's that?
He's not plugged in.
Oh, right.
When he comes out of the church and Axel starts playing, he's not plugged into anything.
That's right. That's right. And think about that.
And and that was at that time there was no wireless anything,
Right.
so most didn't catch on to that.
Yeah, that is true. Because that is true. Wow. If you look back, I guess some of them were. But yeah, Guns, man, was huge. Nine Inch Nails, um, from a production sort of thing where I realized, someone like Trent Reznor, I'm like, we can do this music like on my own. Like, I don't need my whole
Yeah.
band. And it wasn't to discount my band, but I was constantly creating. So for me to like be like, whoa, I don't have to depend on somebody. Like, this is awesome. I loved that. Just bringing fresh things to music, I always thought was great. I love The Cure, Depeche Mode, Motley Crue. Those were kind of like the real definitive years for me. And then I fell in love with the Deftones because it was like just I don't know, man. There's something about that band that just caught me, man. Just out of that whole entire pack of like Corn and that whole scene, it was like I was nuts for the Deftones, man. We got to tour with them, and every night I would just be watching because I'm like, I feel like that was a band that everything just came so naturally to them, and I wish I could be so cool like them. Like they just walked on stage, seemed like they didn't even practice, ruled an audience, and then just walked off so calm and cool, like nothing. And I love that about that band. Um, Definitely crazy for them. Typo Negative, him. I really was always really attracted to super like dark stuff. Darker, but kind of like I don't know, a different kind of dark, right? Where you got those little romantic
Yeah.
tinges on the stuff, right? I always loved that. And then that just kind of, led me to where I am now, which I feel like it'll sneak up in the music if you know the influences, but it definitely doesn't like
Yeah.
sound like it.
Is there anybody that you really, really want to work with, like featured wise or on tour, except for Deftones?
So I was gonna say, yeah, Deftones, man. I'd love to have Chino in a song.
I hope he's watching. I hope he's watching.
Yeah, man. You know what? The cool part is we got peeps. We go way back. There's connections. So
Okay.
that would actually be huge. But I would love to do a song, which I don't know how many people would know this or even figure out how we would connect the dots. But Villa Ballo, the singer for him, I always thought it would be really cool to write a song with that guy, just because I'm like, what goes through your head, like, and how do you come up with stuff? And it's just always kind of intrigued me that I don't know, of all the stuff that that particular band him wrote was like there was always like just this common theme and I'm like how do you just keep coming up with different ideas for the same thing, which kind of like blew my mind. You know what I mean? I felt I love the tone of his voice. So that'd be really cool to put him in a different type of environment and see what you could do. The same way that I love The Cure, but I was always like, I wish The Cure was so much heavier. And so I tried to do that with our own stuff. You know, it was like, let's take that dark stuff and very melodic and these little guitar melody driven things, but let's put some heavy ass guitars and drums behind it and kind of like make it what I wish those bands would have been, you know? So that'd be really cool.
So to go back to the song Mirror Mirror, there's a line that's, mirror in the sky. What exactly are you talking about?
Um,
Like, is it,
just self-reflection type stuff, man. I mean, I do this thing actually, you know, every night where I walk out like on the balcony of where my son and I live, and I just like look at the sky and I just like talk to it. It's the most tangible, I guess, feeling that I can have, you know, of just trying to speak to something bigger than me, a universe bigger than me, everything bigger than me. It's probably like the one moment that I can feel like I'm at least speaking to it, you know, like I can't find it anywhere, but right now when I'm looking at this big sky, I'm able to like speak to it. And it's just kind of trying to find that center of like who and what is it that I'm speaking to? Um, and really just wanting to like get to that, you know, because we all need that, right? Like sometimes I feel like I'm going through life like this. So it's the
yeah,
closest feeling I have of like being able to just something tangible, you know, the first star I find every night, you know, which is where a lot of that stuff came from with Mirror Mirror. It's like, you know, wishing upon a star and all that. But it was like, okay, the first thing I see when I walk out the balcony, that's where I direct my attention. I'm going, okay, that's where you are tonight. And I really want to have this conversation with you. It just makes me feel better. Sounds kind of kooky, I know, but you
no,
know,
it actually isn't.
you
It's
know,
not kooky because I actually do the same thing.
that's awesome, man.
I actually do. Not not per se every night, but when I need to, I do so. Like
Yeah,
I get it.
that's awesome, man. That's
It's
cool. Now I don't feel so weird.
like I know I wasn't the only person, but like yeah, I no matter where I'm at,
Yeah.
yeah, I take a moment, the last cigarette of the night, to just me time.
There you go, man. I'm glad you get it. That must have been why you picked up on it then.
Because I picked up on it. I was like, I don't know if he was if you were talking about that kind of stuff or deeper. Like like every song could be different for everybody else.
Right.
So like I didn't know if it was religious wise or Zen wise. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if it was it could have been either.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of definitely a lot of like religious tinges to our stuff too, because I was like, in order to really get deep, I guess you got to get vulnerable
Mhm.
and you got to ask questions and you got to have passion and you got to have anger and you got to have happiness and you got to really like you can't get to the root of something if you're not getting into it, right? Like you can't be like, oh,
Yeah,
I want to find this, but I don't do that, right? It's like, you know what?
yeah,
If I'm going to try and find the answers to these questions, I've got to get into everything to really like figure that out, you know? So for me, it was like, yeah, I mean, there's definitely some of that too, you know, but it's probably different, whatever tangible thing that everyone is seeking, you know, for me, it would definitely came from that place because, you know, I've had like angry moments. I've like, definitely had some angry moments. And I have those moments outside looking at that and having these conversations. And that's a lot of times where I'll find a lot of the lyrical inspiration for a lot of stuff too, because I'm like having these conversations and letting that whatever it is that I'm feeling out, you know, that nervousness, that anxiety, that like that fear, that anger, and it'll come to me in those conversations because as I'm saying these things, I'm like, hold that thought. And I like grab my phone and I'm like,
yeah.
that's actually a really good lyric, man. I didn't think about it. And you don't find those things really deep when again, you're not willing to do the work to dig deep. So it's hard and it's rough, but I think it's great. And I think that's one of the things that's really resonating with our music, is that like we're jumping into it both feet first, and it's not always, super clean and nice, but it's good.
What's your like favorite venue that you've played so far,
Favorite venue that I've ever played would
or
be,
or been to?
you know what, man? I'm gonna have to say Underworld in London, and there was this place in Cardiff, Wales. I cannot remember the name of the venue off the top of my head to save my life, but we were on tour with this band called Revoker, and the singer is now the bass player for Bullet for My Valentine. He has been for the past few years. My buddy Jamie, and we were on tour together and doing this European tour, and it was like this club that was in an old castle, and it was just like the craziest thing that I had ever seen, man. I have a poster like in a box somewhere, but yeah, Underworld in London and this place in Cardiff, Wales. And actually, you know what? Probably the other venue in Nottingham, England as well. It's our first time playing in England. It was Halloween, and it was another weird little dark castle-y place, and we were just like, this is the coolest stuff I've ever seen, It really fit our vibe, it fit what we were doing, and yeah, I never forget those moments. Those were super cool.
Do you remember the first time you were recognized for your band?
I do. Was in an airport, and I was like 19 years old because we started crazy young, man. I had my first deal when I was like 17, and we were traveling in between Warp Tour shows, and we had just
Okay.
had like yeah, we had our first little, it was like MTV2 type love. So that was super cool to just get like recognized, especially
Wow.
being like 19 years old. You know what I mean? I was like, oh my God, like someone knows me. That's so cool.
Where is the farthest you've met somebody that just came out to see you?
The
Like your
farthest,
band, right? Yeah,
yeah,
like they traveled from, say, London to New Jersey to come see you.
that would have to be from Helsinki, Finland. They came to see us, which was really cool because they had seen us at a festival in Finland, and then they fell in love with the band, and then they were like, "Dude, we got to come out and see you guys." And they came out to, I think it was a show in Chicago. Came to like Chicago, and the next show after that, it was a gentleman and his wife, and I was like, "Wow, that's some love right there, man." They got like tattoos, had some lyrics like put on the back of their neck. I mean, that was super dope. Really, really cool. And still fans to this day. So even extra awesome.
That's pretty cool.
That is, excuse me.
Like, what is the weirdest thing you saw in the mosh pit, like on stage or you being in concert yourself?
Hmm. San Diego, brick by brick on the beach. There was this drunk, like, Navy guy, like, just hassling everybody, throwing bottles, just being a total jerk. And he was throwing them on stage to the point where he almost hit my brother on the side of the stage. And that's when I'd finally had it. So I just threw my guitar to my guitar tech Wade and jumped off stage
Yeah.
and like got into the beef with this guy. Still got the little scars to prove
Oh,
it. That was
yeah.
probably the weirdest incident, but I was just tired of the guy like messing with everybody and nobody doing anything about it. And it was a super packed club show. So we had like people, I mean, like literally like up to the rails, and the rails were getting pushed. And probably way over capacity too. So I don't think anyone wanted to call any sort of emergency services because they would have figured that out. Um, so yeah, man, that's probably the strangest thing for me because I'd never been like anything before that and since.
So, is there anything you would like to say to your fans that are watching right
I'd like to say, Kevin, dude, keep up those cool guitar covers, buddy. Kevin has done some rad covers on his YouTube channel and actually covered our song Never Broken, and I'll never forget that, dude. I just want you to know that's super awesome and always stays in here. Anyone that's always supporting, anyone that's watching, rewatching, replaying, sharing, talking about. I appreciate it to no end. And I know every band always says that, but I really, really mean it because I never thought I'd have a second chance to really go at it at a super high level again because life is crazy. So I think everybody.
So do anything you would like to promote at this moment?
Peace and love. But as far as our stuff, no, man. I mean, the curse is still rocking it. We've got a ton of new material been working on. Our manager Paul, as you know, has been kicking me around
Yeah.
to get a lot of the stuff done. And that's what I need. You know, when left to my going back to lazy and preparing about shows, when left to my own devices, I just don't kind of get to it until I have to because that's my inner artist, and then I'll manically obsess over something for 4 or 5 days in a row, hours, day and night on end. But I like to be in that, proverbial moment of like, okay, well, I'm feeling it right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it. So that's really like where, what we're working toward next is just releasing all that new stuff.
I know it's a weird question, but what's your favorite dinosaur?
Dude, T-Rex, bro.
T-Rex?
T-Rex, bro. Although I had mad love for Triceratops, but T-Rex, man, he's the king. He's king of the world.
Um, your favorite Saturday morning cartoon?
My favorite Saturday morning cartoon, man, well, when I was like 6 years old, it was like the Berenstain Bears.
Okay.
Used to love them, man. You got all the books.
All right, I'm gonna have to let you go at this moment so I
No worries,
can jump
man.
on.
Have fun with Silent Theory. Thank you for having me and tell those dudes what's up. And
I
yeah,
will,
awesome, man. Good talking to you, brother. I appreciate it, man.
and that I'll let you know when this is posted on YouTube too. Okay.
Sounds great, brother. I appreciate it, man.
All right.
Much
I'll
love.
talk to you soon.
You too, bud.
Thank you.
Bye bye.